I just want to repeat the main headline, and that is this: Sean Diddy Combs acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering. The racketeering is the most serious charge. That was count one. That would have put him behind bars for the rest of his life. Not guilty on that charge. So to recap, of the 5 counts, 3 not guilty, Dana, and 2 guilty in Manhattan Federal Court, New York City.
Right. We want to bring back, we have Donna Rotunno that is with us, but let me just ask Paul Mauro a quick question to follow up on something you said earlier, Paul, about there would be opportunities for Diddy Combs to appeal. And on these 2 guilty counts, would that apply in your estimation, what you know of the case?
He certainly is going to appeal. Whether or not he's held in court, in jail, I would suspect he will be. Each of these counts carries 10 years. This is the Notorious Mann Act. As many people may have heard, it's echoed down through history. There's been famous people. Charlie Chaplin was charged with this. He beat it. They got Chuck Berry on this. R. Kelly was charged with this. So very clearly, what the jury seems to have decided here is that the prostitution stuff happened, but the rest of the stuff was not coercive, and in fact, it was transactional. And that seems to be the atmospheric from these, these verdicts. And it is. You have to say, in light of what he was looking at, you have to say that this is pretty close to a victory and a rare swing and a miss for the Southern District of New York.
Paul, thank you. Stand by. Let's bring in our defense attorney now. Donna, we tried to bring in earlier. I'll get your analysis now. The attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs argued from the beginning that on all the videos, notwithstanding the video that we saw in the hotel room from 2016, but all the videos that he recorded at his home in Los Angeles, is that there was no evidence on that video or those pictures that anyone was coerced into participating. They were making the case that they willingly participated in the acts that were seen on this videotape. And it appears the defense's strategy, at least as it pertains to that argument, has been somewhat successful. Donna, what do you think?
I agree. We have been saying all along in this case that it was overcharged by the government, that they were taking these very nuanced relationships and trying to make them criminal. And I think Mark did a really good job in his closing argument highlighting that to the jury. Overall, this is a huge loss to the government, huge. The money that they spent on this prosecution, the amount of press, notoriety, this is a definite win for Mr. Combs. I know he's still facing time in custody, but obviously he will see the light at the end of the day on this one.
Donna, do you think that his lawyers will try to say that he should not be held while at this point until the sentencing or the appeals go through?
I do think that they will make that argument. Remember, Mr. Combs has no criminal background. Mr. Combs was a businessman. Mr. Combs amassed immense wealth. He has children and family and ties to the community. He is very well known. It would be very difficult for him to fade away and get lost into the world. But the government will definitely make the argument that because of the means he is a flight risk and he has the ability to go and move anywhere that he wants to with the financial backing. So I do believe he will be held, although I do not believe he will receive a maximum 10-year sentence.
Donna, your initial reaction, you're not surprised by this. How come?
I'm not surprised by this. I think it was overcharged from the beginning. I think that in the end, it was clear that Mr. Combs engaged in certain acts that were illegal, but I do not think those crimes rose to the level of what he was charged with. And I think in the end, jurors are starting to look at these cases and say, just because you say it doesn't make it so. And when you look at the nuanced relationships between these people, I mean, you had Jane testifying that he's still paying her rent, that they still have some type of relationship, financial or otherwise. You had Cassie, who had all of the text messages saying she liked to be part of the freak-off, saying she was happy to be involved. I mean, really, I think at the end of the day, jurors look at this and say, if these people didn't believe it was criminal, why should I? And back to looking at these cases, we look at these cases through the lens that the courtroom tells us. But all we can do is say, we were not in the room when these things were happening. All we can do is look at the circumstances surrounding them, and everything surrounding it showed relationships between consenting adults. whether there was violence or not really wasn't the issue.
Former federal prosecutor Jim Trusty joins us now with your take. Jim Trusty.
Hey guys, good to see you. Look, this is a huge victory for P. Diddy. That's the reality of it. I think, you know, when you really march backwards from the RICO was always something that was legally available, but innovative and difficult. And when you're talking about a one-person RICO, I kept waiting for other witnesses to come in and say, I too pled guilty to RICO conspiracy. That never happened. I kept waiting for maybe an expert witness to describe how women in the course of being trafficked will have conflicting loyalties and conflicting emotions. That never happened. They just saved it all for closing arguments. So that was pretty difficult. But, you know, the RICO, which was the lead count, was only going to get you a potential life sentence if, in fact, you were convicted of the underlying sex trafficking. So when the sex trafficking charges peeled away, the RICO could have became, at the most, a 20-year charge. We're now down to 2 10-year charges. And you know, these are glorified prostitution charges. It's a federal offense. It's the Mann Act. It has a long controversial history. But as applied today, it's a fairly rinky-dink conviction. So I think they will make a run at trying to get him released. It'll be a little bit of a barometer of whether the judge is absolutely going to incarcerate in the long run. I think he'll probably stay locked up, but we don't even know that.
Here you go, Jim.
And
This is what's going on inside the courtroom to address your query. The jury is leaving the courtroom based on our producers inside. They're giving this to us by way of email. Defense asked for Combs to be released to his home in Florida. Defense is in possession of his passport. The crimes that he's been found guilty of are vastly different from the charges he was acquitted of, and I think we can agree on that now, right, in this analysis. He does not have access to his plane, which has been chartered and is now in Maui. Because this is his first offense, his attorneys asked that he's released from federal custody, willing to put up bond to make that happen, Jim.
Yeah, that's the right argument. Maybe they settle for like electronic home monitoring. The problem that he faces is he doesn't have direct ties in terms of residentially to New York, and he will always be a bit of a risk of flight just because of all of his resources. But man, oh man, I think he's got a shot at the release. And you know, the sentencing guidelines that'll be applied to his case have just dropped off a cliff. It's a very different conviction now than it would have been with the sex trafficking or the RICO charges.
Jim, in your estimation, based on what Donna Rotunno was just saying, do you think the government overcharged in this case, and which led them to this underwhelming result for them?
Yeah, I feel like that's the easiest pile-on I could ever do, right? I mean, those idiots don't know how to do RICO like I do. But what I would say is this. I mean, RICO, the reason why the Department of Justice has a whole section devoted to reviewing racketeering indictments is to kind of make sure that it's used in the intelligent way and in a way that preserves the sanctity of a very powerful statute. This one went through that process. It got approved. I get that. But it's a very unique case. It's very rare to charge a single individual and just say all of his businesses are part of the criminal enterprise. So, you know, in retrospect, absolutely an overcharge, but it was always going to be uphill, and I think it really could have been tried a little cleaner as just a pure sex trafficking and Mann Act type case.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.